A woman convicted of a murderous crime spree is rare. But a woman whose partner in crime is her own son earns the number 8 spot on our list. Santé Kimes.
Santé Kimes is somebody who really just opened up the criminal law handbook and said, I'll take A through Z. What crime hasn't she committed?
In the early 1970s, a 30-something, twice-divorced grifter born Sandy Louise Chambers hooked up with a millionaire named Kenneth Kimes. He was 16 years her senior. Sandy soon adopted the name Santé Kimes. Together, Sante and Kenneth had a son, Kenny Jr.
She met this gentleman who had some money and was lucky enough to marry him. That didn't change her. I mean, she was still a criminal at heart.
She would go so far as to steal a mink coat at an upscale piano bar, or she may just be happy stealing a lipstick.
She would commit fraud, she would kite checks, she committed a number of arsons so she could get money from the houses, any way that she could just get around the system.
In 1986, Santé Kimes was even convicted of enslaving young Mexican women.
She would get girls from Mexico, bring them to her homes and lure them away saying, you're gonna make all this money.
They were kept under lock and key. They reported that they worked 7 days a week.
She was the first person I ever met who was convicted of slavery, and she did time in federal prison for that.
Sante got out of prison in 1989. Her husband Kenneth died in 1994.
After the death of Santé Kimes' husband, she took control of her son Kenneth. She involved him in all of her crimes from that point forward.
I wanted to be her toy soldier. I wanted to be the guy that she could always count on. My dad was dead. We didn't have anybody. We didn't trust anybody.
Mother and son soon embarked on an international crime spree.
She got away with many, many crimes over the years, from Hawaii to LA to Las Vegas to New York to the Bahamas. She had 20 different names that she used, so it would be difficult to track her.
In the late 1990s, Las Vegas investigators suspected the pair of burning down a house they owned. Police in the Bahamas hoped to question the mother and son about the 1996 disappearance of an Indian banker.
The thing that tripped them up, though, was when they bought a 1997 Lincoln Town car and had it delivered to them. Sante gave him a check for roughly $15,000 for the car. Well, that check bounced, and eventually the car dealer called the police and filed a complaint about a bad check.
On July 5th, 1998, police in Manhattan finally tracked down 63-year-old Kimes and her 23-year-old son, along with that Lincoln Town car. In the car, investigators found ID and real estate documents belonging to 82-year-old Irene Silverman. Irene Silverman was reported missing that very same day. Sante and her son immediately became suspects.
Irene Silverman was a socialite of New York. She was loved by everyone. She owned a beautiful brownstone that she had turned into apartments that she leased out, and Kenny leased one of those apartments.
The police also found a forged deed that transferred ownership of the $10 million townhouse for a tiny fraction of what it was actually worth.
On December 16, 1998, Sante and Kenneth Kimes were indicted for the murder of Irene Silverman. The New York Post dubbed them Mommy and Clyde.
It was conspiracy to commit murder, grand larceny, and possession of a deadly weapon. It was a bunch of charges, but those are the main charges.
The police found 14 notebooks filled with handwritten notes that Santé Kimes and her son had written on how to kill Mrs. Silverman and get away with it.
On May 18, 2000, Santé Kimes was found guilty of murder, along with 117 other charges, including conspiracy, forgery, burglary, and eavesdropping.
She was given 120 years. Her son was given 125 years. And after that trial, then they were eventually extradited to California for the trial of David Caston.
David Caston had the misfortune of once knowing Santé's husband. Sante took out a $200,000 mortgage in his name, and with plans of burning down the house and then collecting on that.
And so, of course, he confronted her. And so then she told Kenny, this can't be. He's going to expose us. He has to be done away with.
In order to avoid the death penalty, Kenny Kimes agreed to testify against his mom. Kenny also confessed to his role in the Caston murder.
I said, oh, well, I'm going to have to kill him. He went and got me, started pouring me a cup of coffee. He didn't quite reached his back was towards me, and I shot him in the back of the head.
In July 2004, Santé Kimes was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of David Kasdan. She was given another life sentence without possibility of parole.
She's a sociopath, a true sociopath. She does not believe that she's done any of these crimes or that she was involved in them in any way. And she does believe that she and her son have been wronged.
It's highly unusual and rare to get someone who's a con artist to also be a serial killer or even a murderer. Well, she mixed both of them. And she had that ability of convincing you that she was a wonderful person.
Santé Kimes is serving her sentence at the Bedford Hills Prison in Westchester, New York. At his request, Kenneth is serving his time in a different state.